I can and I will.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Dream Weaver's Diary. After so long, today we'll talk about a concept of perspective, and I think people talk very less about perspective, and people need to talk a lot more about perspective because perspective is what shapes our life and helps us in taking our life challenges, facing them, and overcoming the life decisions. Because how we look at life decisions, how different perspectives we look at our life in, depends upon how and where in life we will succeed to and till what heights we'll reach. Because after all, the goal we set for ourselves is the perspective we put for our life. So all the new discoveries, they happen from different perspective that we look at a concept with. Like to solve a problem, you can either solve it with the general method or with creative thinking. And creative thinking comes with thinking the situation from different perspective. Like think of the situation with the perspective that you are in the situation. Like for example, if you want to research on butterflies, think of yourself as a butterfly. That if you were that creature, what would you be doing? If you would, which flower you would be choosing? How would you be selecting stuff, selecting your attention towards stuff and stuff like that, and things like that. Then we have key finding magic and happiness in everything. If you look for happiness in stuff, you'll find it. If you look for magic in little things, for example, finding angel numbers like 111, 222, you'll find them. Not because the world suddenly has a lot more of angel numbers, or because the world suddenly has a lot of happiness and with some magic you have happiness in your life and all your sorrows have vanished. No, but because you're looking for it, so your mind is subconsciously finding out ways, looking for ways where you'll find magic and happiness, where you'll find things to connect with mythology and magic. For example, on a random day, you can do it with anything. Think like you're walking on you're driving on the road or you're going somewhere. Think of anything like red colored cars, which are I believe less frequent, and more frequent are the gray, black and white ones. But if you think of the red cars, you'll see red cars everywhere. You'll spot red cars randomly throughout the week or throughout the month, not because the world suddenly has more red cars, but because your brain is looking for more red cars. So you're subconsciously manifesting it and also looking for it. So your reality is shifting your attention towards the red cars, and you're noticing them when they pass through you, which you previously, I guess, would not have noticed. Next, we have in debates. In debates, I believe perspective is so important because those kind of people, they'll give you any topic to debate on and you'll be given for or against the motion. For example, you get against the motion. You'll have to think that your points for, you have to think the points for against the motion you've given, and you have to think the points for the motion that the other team must be thinking. And then you'll think what the other team is thinking, then you'll think the counter for what the other team is written. For example, I have been given the topic about if recess should be longer. So I'll say that the recess, the lunch periods should be longer, and then the other team has been given that the recess times should not be for long. Like the recess breaks should be short. So I'll put my points ki why I think the recess break should be longer, and the other team will put the points that why they think the recess should be shorter, and I'll think what the other team must have made the points. Like if you're getting what I'm trying to explain you, I'll think my points and I'll think their points, so I can think the points to counter their points. So I believe perspective is really important, so you can think of the topic from their perspective and then you can think of the counterpoints for the debate. uh, Next, we have critical thinking. For quick critical thinking, you need different perspectives because, for example, you're in an argument. You need to instantly think of stuff from their perspective, and you need to, counter and you need to defend. And in an argument, it is not always about countering and defending, it is also about trying to, when you're solving an argument, you need to listen to the other person, what their perspective on the problem is, what they think the issue of the problem is, and then solve it. Like accordingly. Not just put yourself in their shoes as a saying, but actually try to put yourself in their shoes and look from their perspective what the argument must feel like, with the experiences they have had, with the with what you know about them. Look at the stuff from that perspective and try to understand what they're explaining to you in an argument, instead of just instead of fighting with each other. Fight with you versus the problem. If your friends, like if you and your best friend are having a fight, don't be like, the fight is not about you versus your best friend. The fight is about you, your best friend, versus the problem. So it's like you both against the problem instead of you both against each other. So that is the perspective. If you shift your perspective towards that, I believe your relationships will have, your friendships will have less arguments. And yeah, next we have two people can live the same life, but one will be happy and another will be miserable. Why? Because again, the perspective. The one who is living the life and the one who is happy will be the one finding happiness in the smallest of things, like seeing the grass, that the grass is greener today. I see butterflies and the day just suddenly turns better. And then the other one will be like, the other one may have gone to an amusement park but seen someone cry, and they'll be like, oh my god, my day is ruined, I've seen a cried person crying. So it's all about the perspective. And reality isn't actually real, and reality is subjective to your perspective and experiences, because what you perceive, what you experience is different from what the other person perceive and experience. So reality is different for you, both for both of you. So reality is not just one thing, reality is subjective to every individual. Next, we have optical illusions. I believe we all love optical illusions, and we all have seen many optical illusions for their explanation, that am I left brained or am I right brained, stuff like that. So we have optical illusions like the famous duck and rabbit optical illusion, or the grandmother and the young girl illusion. And these illusions are just about the perspective, that someone will see a rabbit, someone will see a duck, someone will see a young woman, someone will see a grown woman. So it's all about the perspective and how you view reality, that reality is not the same, that and that is why you and your friends see different stuff in the image and you perceive things differently. Next, I believe everyone has gone through that, that is misreading a text. A person has sent a text with a non fighty tone, in a normal and nice tone, but we view it as in a angry tone, and we're like, how dare they say that to us, and we get offended, and without any reason, without any point, an argument starts just because of misreading a text. That is why I believe, if you want to discuss about important topics or solve important problems, you need to discuss face to face, because on text you do not know what the other person is feeling, and you may perceive it differently, and miscommunication happens. Then you have something, then you have the mentality that thinking something was the worst only to realize it was the best later. That is, in life you'll have many situations where you'll think that this situation, what is happening, this is the worst moment of my life, nothing can be worse than this, and life proves you wrong and something worse comes. I genuinely thought this was the worst moment of my life because it was so high and I'm scared of heights, and I was screaming a little and everyone had to watch me embarrass myself and scream. But then I later changed my perspective and realized that it was actually quite fun and I would do it again given the opportunity. And you realize that that moment which you called the worst moment was actually not the worst moment, and was actually a blessing to prepare you for some other difficult challenge in life. It's like the stairs you climb in your life. So the first stair is big, and you the first stair is like big, and you think that it's the most difficult thing in the world, and it's the worst thing that can happen to you, and why is it happening to you. But once you climb that stair, you'll see that it was only for the best, because it keeps you going, it gives you a motivation, and it gives you a hit, it gives you that hit you need in life to keep going. Because once you've climbed one step, The first step is always the hardest. I believe we all have heard that. The first step is always the hardest, and once you take the first step, the rest comes so easily that you have started it. So you get a kind of confidence that कि शुरू तो कर ही लिया, अब तो खत्म करना है, अब तो like शुरुआत कर ली तो खत्म तो करना ही है. You can't just leave your stuff in between and quit, because we are not quitters. We won't quit. We just complete our task, because if we quit, we are a quitter, and we are not a quitter. Then about perspective, many great speakers have talked about, for example, Steve Jobs and Opera. They have talked in their speeches about the perspective and how perspective shifts our reality. And I believe that is so less talked about. People need to talk more about perspective and how different people have different perspectives and how it shapes their life. So, before ending this video, I'd like to give you all a task today, that is, think of something that annoyed you today and think of it in a different perspective. Think of it from a different perspective. For example, if you have a fight with your parents, think of it from the perspective of your parents, that you are also their child, and think of it as if you were the parent and your child was doing what you are doing. What would you do? Would you say the same stuff that they said? Would you do the same thing that they did? And if not, then also, bro, try to understand it from their perspective, that no one is wrong from their perspective. It is only that from the other's perspective it might be wrong, but from their own perspective, according to their experiences, childhood traumas and everything, no one is wrong there in their own perspective, because no one is intentionally bad. People are made bad. No one is born bad. And drop it in the comments that if thinking about that situation differently helped you deal with it differently, helped you look at it from differently, from a different perspective. And don't forget to like, comment, and share this video with your friends, so they also know how different perspectives can shape their reality. And maybe, just maybe, if we all have different perspective, and if perspectives shape your reality, then maybe life and living is not as bad as you think it is, and you are living a world. You think you're living in a world that is completely different from what it actually is. Keep watching, because here in Dreamweaver's Diary, we weave dreams telling schemes. Goodbye.